Welcome, everyone. My name's Karen Thompson, and I'm the Executive Director of Access for Special Kids Resource Center. People know us as ASK Resource Center. Hi. And one of my colleagues, Alicia Karwal, is with me helping produce in the background. Say hi, Alicia. And without further ado, I am going to introduce our speaker for today and get going. So Kim Karwal is with us today, and she is currently the Rural Solutions and Assistive Technology Program Team Lead for Easterseals, Iowa. Kim supports farm family members with disabilities and provides assistive technology support statewide for children and adults with various diagnoses. Kim holds a Bachelor's of Science degree from the Iowa State University, as well as her master's in rehabilitation counseling and mental health counseling from Drake University. She is a certified rehabilitation counselor and an assistive technology professional. Welcome, Kim. We're so excited to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much, Karen, and thank you, Alicia, for having me on today. As Karen said, I work with Easterseals, Iowa Assistive Technology Program. When it comes to Easterseals, Iowa, everyone starts thinking about Camp Sunnyside, and yes, we are still up and running. Easterseals, Iowa is a nonprofit organization that supports individuals with disabilities within the Des Moines metro and surrounding communities, with the mission to provide exceptional services to ensure that all people with disabilities or special needs and their families have equal opportunity to live, learn, work, and play in their communities. Today, I will be talking about two programs that are statewide, but I don't want to overshadow the other wonderful things that Easterseals Iowa does. They have over 16 program lines that operate, supporting individuals within their homes, their communities, and seeking and maintaining employment. There's the Child Development Center out at Camp Sunnyside that supports individuals aged 6 months to 6 years, and various other programs throughout the summer that support youth and adults with disabilities. This photo on this slide is of an individual who's cutting a pepper. These are some devices that I will talk about in a little bit with our assistive technology program. This individual is standing at a countertop that is about hip height, with his arms in front of him holding a rocking knife resting on the top of a cutting board. Before I dive into the assistive technology program, that's a pretty big mouthful of words right there, and I wanted to start off by defining what assistive technology really is. Assistive technology can be anything, any product system, any piece of equipment, any service, any device, tool, gadget, or gizmo that's utilized to maintain or improve the functional capabilities of individuals with disabilities or limitations. Basically, assistive technology is anything that can help somebody accomplish a task that without that device, they would be unable to accomplish. It can range from low tech to high tech, depending upon that specific need and the implementation. An example is this photo. This is a photo of an individual sitting on a little garden cart that has wheels. They're using a handheld rake that has an ergonomic handle on a raised garden bed, and they're tending to some flowers. If an individual does not have any disabilities, these devices, the raised garden bed, the handheld garden trowel with ergonomic wrist rest or ergonomic handle, and the garden cart would not be deemed assistive technology, only tools of the trade. But for an individual that has a disability who would otherwise be unable to tend these flowers without these tools, these items are called assistive technology, and they're called assistive technology for funding supports, for advocacy supports, and for a variety of other reasons. So the term assistive technology will be used throughout this presentation, but if you're working with someone who may not identify as a person with a disability or is sensitive to using that disclosure, they can simply say a tool to help them accomplish a task, and that's perfectly acceptable for us to provide our services. Our assistive technology program is the state assistive technology implementing entity. We serve all ages in all areas of Iowa. And when I say all ages, I really do mean all ages. We can start the conversation from birth and be working with someone up until they're centennials. We provide information and referral where someone may contact us because they have a question or a concern and they need some outside vending support, in-home assessments, or a variety of other things that we may not be able to directly provide. We can connect them with valuable information and resources within their community. We have an on-site demonstration center, a durable medical equipment loan program, a lending library, and an online assistive technology exchange program. Each of these I will dive into in just a little bit more detail. With information and referral, we have an 800 number, which is 1-866-866-8782, which is toll-free for individuals to call us to inquire about any type of assistive technology. We've had calls where someone talks about a specific task that they're having difficulty performing, or they saw a specific item on an infomercial or in a vendor fair and they're interested in learning more about that device, or it might just be a question about funding. The images that are on this slide from left to right, the left one is called a pen again. It's a pen that you can utilize to write without having to angle, support, or hold on to it. The pen itself rests on the paper surface, and all you need to do is glide your wrist across the paper surface, moving the pen in the manner in which you want your handwriting to appear, which would be cursive or otherwise. So with that pen and that specific paper, you do not need any special paper. The pen itself can work on just about any kind of surface. It also works well with a tilt board. The middle picture is an adaptive fork. This adaptive fork has a built-up grip that the individual is holding so that they don't have to squeeze too tight. It also has some texture on it for better gripping. And it's also a 90-degree fork, meaning that the fork is bent at a 90-degree angle so that the individual holding it does not need to twist their wrist or their arm in putting whatever is on the end of the fork into their mouth. Simply lift their arm up to their mouth to put it in their mouth. The far right photo is of an individual utilizing an iPad. You're not able to see the actual text written on the iPad, but it is the Easterseals Iowa Assistive Technology website that's up on the iPad. The individual has this iPad resting in a gooseneck iPad stand. This is just some examples of what different types of assistive technology might look like within information referral, the demonstration center, or the lending library. This next slide focuses on our demonstration center. At this current time, we're still asking that social distancing be in place and all appointments and conversations be scheduled in advance so that we can identify the most effective route of communication for the safety of our customers and our team members. Our demonstration center is located out at Camp Sunnyside on the north end of Des Moines, Iowa, but many of these items we can take statewide with us. Some examples of what we may demonstrate include our mock kitchen. The photo on the left is of our mock kitchen. We have various cupboards. We have 2 different heights of countertop for individuals to identify what the best working height is for them if they were to modify or build a new home. There's an oven, which is not an adaptive oven, but instead we can talk about different devices to utilize with the oven. It might be guards to go across the fronts so that the knobs cannot be turned by anybody other than the individual who's using the oven. It might be items suction cup to the top to hold pots in place so that they don't shift around when someone's stirring. It might also just to talk about the various ways you can approach opening an oven and getting things out without burning yourself, which is a large concern for many individuals when they're trying to learn new cooking skills. They may need to practice on something before it is hot. The picture on the right is of an adaptive keyboard sitting on a VersaDesk. This is a very unique desk that sits on any desktop and will rise up to standing height and then lower back down with the push of a button. That adaptive keyboard itself is large keys, and it's a simplified keyboard for individuals. It might be someone who has low vision, or somebody who's learning to type, or someone who has dexterity issues and needs larger keys. When it comes to the keyboards, we do have a huge variety of different types of keyboards, and this is really because many individuals are experiencing pain right now because they're trying to utilize their laptop keyboard and they're finding that that is not the most ergonomic keyboard. And maybe before they really didn't spend as much time sitting in front of a computer for their meetings, for their interactions with consumers, and to accomplish their daily tasks. But they're finding that having an adaptive keyboard might be really suitable for a variety of reasons. So looking at different styles, different ways the keys are set up along it or along the keyboard itself, what buttons and functions are necessary for an individual are all part of that demonstration conversation when we are working with individuals. We also have an Amazon Alexa and accessories to talk about voice-activated supports, whether it be in the home, the office, the school system, or an educational system. Otherwise, they can look at different ways of making their daily tasks easy, setting up reminders, or creating ways that they can open doors automatically. Our durable medical equipment loan program runs solely off of donated durable medical equipment. This includes wheelchairs, walkers, shower benches. All of this equipment is donated to Easterseals and is then sanitized and refurbished by our team members. We loan out equipment through an application for loan, which includes information from a healthcare provider. We do not have any seating mobility or speech language pathology specialists on staff at Easterseals AT program, which is why it's so important that a healthcare provider be in association with the conversation that's being had. These applications are available online. Also, if you call our 866 number and inquire about our specific inventory that's available at any current time, the application can then be provided to you specifically. Oftentimes, this program loans equipment to individuals who may otherwise be unable to access that equipment. I'm going to use the picture on the right as an example. This is a U-step walker. A U-step walker is different than a typical walker because the base of the U-step is shaped like a U, where the base of the U is at the toe of the individual who's walking. There are multiple wheels placed along the bottom of this U shape that allow it to turn on a tighter radius than a typical walker. Typically, U-step walkers also come with a laser light that points across where the toes would go when you're taking a step holding the walker. The purpose for this was designed for individuals with a diagnosis of Parkinson's, but it can be used for a variety of other people who find that a typical walker is difficult to turn and difficult to maneuver. There are a few other features of the U-step walker that are also very unique, but this is also a device we don't get donated very often, so we don't often have available for Iowans to access. It's important for individuals across the state to recognize that there are a variety of different types of devices, especially when it comes to walkers, canes, or wheelchairs. There's a lot of questions that need to be asked to ensure that it's the specific device for an individual and not the other way around. We want to make sure that this will work long-term for that person so that they can use it for many years to come. Sometimes individuals may have utilized an insurance company to pay for a piece of assistive technology, and they find that the insurance specifies that new devices can only be purchased every 5 years. They realize that something broke, maybe somebody grew out of their durable medical equipment, or other reasons that they need to access a new piece of equipment within that 5-year time period. That might be a time that individuals can utilize our program to fill in those gaps of services that they may be left without working equipment. Our lending library is different than our durable medical equipment program. Our durable medical equipment program does have a fee associated with the devices that would be paid one time, whereas our lending library is a free of charge loan for a 30-day trial period. So that's the main difference. The durable medical equipment loan program, you borrow the devices as long as you need them, and there is a fee. For the lending library, it's for 30 days, and it's a free trial period. This consists of over 1,000 pieces of devices that individuals can access. We have our inventory posted on the Eastersealsiowa.at for all, that's the number 4all.com. And any Iowan with a disability, any family member, representative, or individual that just desires to learn more about assistive technology may borrow free of charge. There's a paper application, but as we know, many things online tend to be a lot smoother and a lot easier to access. If anybody does have difficulty with the online platform, you can give us a call and we can help you through it via phone, email, or whatever other means work best for that specific person. The photo on this slide is of an individual using that gooseneck iPad stand once again, only this is a view of the back of the iPad. So you can actually see the tab grabber iPad stand has little elastic hooks that hook around the 4 corners of the iPad, and then a frame where a gooseneck mount is attached that goes down to a walker that the individual is using, and it's clipped onto the walker out of sight of the picture. This gooseneck stand can be adjusted so that it is at eye height, a little bit lower, can be pushed out of the way when the piece of durable medical equipment is in use, or a variety of other ways that an individual may need to use it to create a hands-free ability to access that iPad. Also useful for iPhones as well as other tablets and smartphones as well. This is just one example of the thousands of devices that we have available that individuals can learn about, can borrow, figure out if it's something that will work for them or not, and then pursue purchase outside of our organization. We're not vendors, so we don't need you to tell us what you love about our devices. What we need to hear is what is not working about the devices that are borrowed, so that we can step back into that information and referral phase to offer supports to find the appropriate vendor within the price point that an individual is able to afford. This slide is featuring our Easterseals Iowa Exchange platform. Our Exchange platform was formerly called Viewers. It's a classified ad site that supports Iowans who have equipment that they're not interested in donating. If they want to sell it, it gives them a platform to do so. We utilize the same AT for All platform that we host our lending library inventory, so individuals who are looking for equipment can go online, use a keyword search, and look for anything they may need. This is an example of what will come up once an individual is utilizing the AT for All site. They may type in a specific word, and then a variety of items will appear that were flagged as having related to that word. So someone may hop on and type in a walker if they want to see what's for sale with walkers across the state. Our durable medical equipment loan inventory will not appear on this site. We oftentimes have items come in and are ready to go back out on loan in the same day, so we're not able to utilize this site because it would not keep up with our inventory changes. So if you are interested in our durable medical equipment loan program, that is by phone call. Otherwise, you can see all of our lending library demonstration items and the exchange items on the AT for All platform. I spend a lot of time talking about what our specific services are, and I jumped from program to program. So truly the message I want you to know is when it comes to assistive technology in any way, I do hope you will reach out to us for any level of consultation or to ask any questions. The overview that I provided is not entirely inclusive. It's really just an introduction to what assistive technology may look like. Many of our assessments and the implementation of assistive technology look very unique to the individuals we're working with. Our main purpose is to avoid abandonment by ensuring that we know what is working for an individual and what environment it works before an individual would pursue a purchase of that device. So really what we want to do is help you rule out what won't work long-term before any money is spent. The photo on this slide is of another adaptive keyboard with a wrist rest. This is a white key on black background keyboard that has about 1.5 inch wide keys for individuals. So the other message I do want to share with this is that no one device is a solution for everyone. AT is very individualized and should truly be approached on an individual basis of need. I featured a variety of really cool devices, including the photo on this slide, which is automatic pill dispenser, where you set a timer and the inside of this pill dispenser turns, so the individual using it would not have access to the medication until that appropriately set time. These are wonderful, very unique devices. They may work for a variety of individuals, but the message I want you to know is they won't work for everyone. So when you are interested in assistive technology, we hope you'll consult with one of our team members, as they are experts in the field, to help identify what it is that would work best for that specific person in the environment that they choose to use it. When we do that, we ask a lot of questions just to get to know that individual better, what their abilities are, what environment the device would be used for, and really what the task or the goal is for that individual. Many individuals will say that they want to lose weight and they need assistive technology to help them lose weight. And I always say, if you stepped on a scale today and then you stepped on a scale again in 3 months and you were down 20 pounds, but you looked the same, you felt the same, and your clothes fit the exact same, would you feel like you reached your goal? And most people shake their head no, because their goal wasn't truly to lose weight. It might have been to feel healthier. It might have been to reduce their blood pressure or something else. So what we really want to do is identify what that background goal is, so that we can place the appropriate types of devices in individuals' hands so that it can be used in a manner that keeps them working towards their goal for a long period of time. While I have you on this webinar, I also wanted to talk a little bit about our Rural Solutions program that I work with. The Rural Solutions program supports Iowans with disabilities and their family members that live in communities of 2,500 or less in population. There are fewer of these communities, fewer and fewer in central Iowa, but they're still out there. and it is also a statewide program. It truly began as a service to support farmers and farm family members with a disability and offers a variety of services, including an agricultural worksite and home modification consultations, peer support, services for the family and network, really getting them connected with what resources exist within their community or state, information referral, and access to the assistive technology program. An example is a lift for an individual so that they can gain accessibility into their workplace, so a lift on the front door. And I also want to talk about this picture. Usually when I start talking about the Rural Solutions program, I show a lot of green. So I do want to make note that the accommodations that we talk about are useful in any color tractor. This specific picture I took on a morning, and you can't really tell what the accommodation is, and that was really the point. If you're not familiar with what a tractor looks like, many of the accommodations may not be visible when you're looking at a tractor, but through the cab of the tractor, there's a little square that you can see, and that's actually a monitor, and this monitor is hooked up to a camera system. The farmer I was working with in this situation had low vision, was able to qualify for a driver's license with restrictions, and they adhered to those same restrictions when utilizing agricultural equipment, but they needed help to be able to see in some spots and with some tasks, and one of those was filling the wagon when combining, and another one was knowing where to line up the rows when they're planting, spraying, or harvesting. So in the cab of all of the vehicles, this little monitor was placed and can be moved from cab to cab if a new vehicle is purchased. That supports with a variety of things. The monitor is really large, so the individual is able to see what's happening on the monitor, and it syncs to those camera systems, so they're able to see different areas that they might not be able to see if they were trying to turn their head, so it increases the visibility. And it helps with all those other tasks because it is connected to a GPS navigation system that can support them in recording specifically where they planted, so that GPS system can tell them where they're at when they are spraying or harvesting as well. So this is one of those examples that was incredibly unique to the situation and took a lot of assessment, but for that individual, it meant the difference between being able to continue in his father's occupation, which is what his goal was, or to no longer be able to farm. I have just a few other quotes from our Rural Solutions consumers. Warren shared that it's a great organization and program for newly injured people because they really do not know where to go. If they can get in touch with someone who's already experienced it, it can be a benefit and gives them a better outlook. There's a lot that you can do, but you have to have someone there to help you with it. It all depends on your injury, and it's really helpful to access the Rural Solutions program to help understand what the future holds. Greg Corkery shared that without the technological assistance from Easterseals, I couldn't have continued to farm. I'm so thankful to continue to do what I love. And Brenda Codney, these adaptations enabled me to still be functional as a wife, a mother, and a grandmother. Before the lift and stairs, I wasn't able to get out of the house. They enabled me to be a part of the community. So in addition to like the agricultural assessments and supports, there's also the in-home modification and consultation that the Rural Solutions program can offer. Russell Bosick shared that I wanted to continue farming as my livelihood and contribute in a meaningful way in my community. I wouldn't have my operation and be where I am today if it were not for these staff at Easterseals, Iowa. This final slide just includes our contact information at Easterseals, including that 1-866-866-8782 toll-free number, our TTY number, which is 515-289-4069, our email, atinfo@eastersealsia.org, the website, as well as a variety of other social media interactions, including YouTube, LinkedIn, a MailChimp e-newsletter, and then just a statement to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. So this wraps up the presentation that I had for you, and I do have time for any questions.
Okay, thank you. And I have a couple of questions while we wait to see if others come in. And I think you addressed this initially, but I think that this is just maybe making sure that we repeat the information and that our viewers are clear. Can you just review again, Easterseals, Iowa, what age of children do you serve with this program? Will you serve infants and toddlers as well? And can you describe a little bit about how that would look?
Yeah, that is a fantastic question. With the Assistive Technology program, we are able to serve infants and toddlers. Very often, we will ask a lot of questions to ensure that we're connecting with the whole network of individuals who are working with that infant and toddler. Again, we're not seating a mobility specialist, so we want to ensure that any type of accommodation that we're discussing fits in with the other therapies and supports that that individual is accessing. I would say just get in touch with us at any time for any questions. Very often, some of the most successful scenarios that we interact with are individuals who become very familiar with our lending library of devices, and they really want to identify different sensory devices because they have a child in their home that gets sick of their toys pretty quickly and wants to move on to new toys. So they can borrow from our learning, cognition, and development category, which includes hundreds of toys, sensory items, even including some weighted blankets, weighted vests, pressure vests, and weighted lap pads. So they can start borrowing from there to truly identify what will work and how long will it work for this individual that they may love and have in their home, and want to figure out what's going to be the best solution before they spend any money on it. And they may never buy anything just because they periodically borrow devices from us to refreshen the sensory items to have on hand for that individual. We also have fidgets for individuals, and I have professionals who will borrow fidgets from us to take into different homes just to identify different supports to ensure that they have considered all realms to make the family or that individual as comfortable as possible when they're having their consultation or asking any questions, whatever brings them into the home. So they may borrow some devices up front to take into the home with them too.
Wonderful, thank you. And we have a question from an attendee. Deb, your hand is raised.
Actually, it was the same question. I was curious about the age range, and it's a wonderful program. And thanks for sharing this information. We need to get the message out there that this is so available.
Thank you, Deb. Yes, absolutely. We didn't close our doors through the COVID-19 response, and I do want to draw attention to the fact that we have been utilizing the Center for Disease Control and Prevention guidelines to make sure that any devices coming in and going out are sanitized at both phases. We've also upped a lot of our online supports. So for individuals that just aren't comfortable coming out to camp or coming to the AT Center, we can still offer interaction and engagement, and we've had some success, although it's definitely a learning curve for us too, to try and figure out how to be best online or how to be best offering virtual services. But we can still offer those services to any age, and we are very flexible in making sure that the individual that we're working with is the one who's leading the consultation.
Wonderful, thank you. And we do have, looks like one more question. When you send somebody to travel to the area, what does that look like? Do we call first and describe our needs and you bring it out? What does that look like?
That is a great question. So let's start with the Rural Solutions Program. So the Rural Solutions Program does work with youth as well. So if somebody, let's say from Sheldon, Iowa, is looking for some supports, like in how to transition, and they want to look at some kind of employment opportunity that is agricultural related. So they're looking at the Rural Solutions Program as a possibility for support. That service is a free of charge service. Those referrals do need to go through Easterseals Iowa's intake coordinator. It's just a list of questions, and she is just wonderful to work with. So that's a pretty quick and easy conversation. With the Assistive Technology Program, however, we typically do those consultations virtually unless that individual can travel to the Des Moines area. Our team members for that program aren't traveling as much as they had been. As time goes on and as we get back to normalized scheduling, and we hope, they may be going back out to those areas of the state just as frequently as they were before, but at this time we just don't happen to be in Sheldon as often as we were before. So we're trying to offer those virtually as well as mailing devices as quickly as we can.
Wonderful, thank you. And I'm just going to do one final check.
I actually have one final question. So having young children in my home, and we've borrowed from the lending library before, what would a family do, or what are the obligations that a family would have if they would borrow something and it would be broken or something would be lost? Like I know with the games, if a piece would be lost, how is that handled?
That's a great question. When you borrow the devices, there is an agreement that you agree to take on any charge that might be incurred through damaged or lost items. We do recognize general wear and tear, although that is an agreement. So if it is a situation where perhaps something like an iPad was borrowed and then it came back in 3 pieces, we may have some conversation about what the replacement might look like for that specific device.
Thank you very much, Kim Karwal, for joining us from Easterseals, Iowa. All right, everybody, we're going to sign off for today and make sure that you watch our Facebook page and e-newsletters for future events and training opportunities.
you.